Good morning, all of you.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Let's start with the next content. Yesterday we have started with the components of the NLP, and we have started the topic that is the natural language processing, and introductory part related with that yesterday already we have seen. So what is the natural language processing? Yes. What is meant by the natural language processing? Yes, all of you can hear me?
Yes, sir.
Tell me, what is the natural language processing?
Human understanding.
One understanding.
So, natural language processing means developing a system that allow computers to communicate with people using natural language like Hindi, English.
Exactly. So we are trying to using the natural language processing, we can make the system which can able to communicate with the human in the same language that is being spoken by the human being, like Hindi, English, Marathi, Japanese, Urdu, etc., etc. And that NLP is the one of the method of the artificial intelligence. It is also the one of the branch of the computer science, we can say. And in that we have seen the other details also, and now we are studying the components of the NLP. In that first component we have natural language understanding. So in the natural language understanding, what machine or the system should do? System should understand the whatever the sentences which are spoken by or written in the natural language. Just like I'm speaking with you, when I'm speaking, you are understanding whatever I'm speaking with you. That is nothing but the similar, that is the natural language understanding. Okay, so natural language understanding also face the number of difficulties. Okay, that difficulty yesterday we have discussed, like lexical ambiguity, syntax level ambiguity, and the referential ambiguity. This kind of things also has to be considered when we are trying to build the system with the capability of the natural language processing. And in that we have the next component, that is the natural language generation. Okay, so when I ask you the question, then you understand that question. Okay, and then you try to reply me. So when you are replying, what is happening actually? Yes, if I ask you a question in the natural language like English, that if I ask you what is the NLP, okay, so what you do, you first understand what I have asked, correct? That is nothing but
Yes,
first
sir.
component of the NLP. Then after that, what you do?
Planning means
Means after that you try to prepare your answer.
Yes, sir.
yes.
What should be the answer? Means then, and then you answer me. Okay, so when you answer me in the in response to my question, then you are generating, you are answering in some particular natural language only. For example, English language. That is nothing but the consider as what? Natural language generation. Getting? It is the process of producing the meaningful phrases and the sentences in the form of the natural language from some internal representation. Okay, so when you give me the response in the English only, that is nothing but the natural language generation. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
In the similar way, when we ask the machine question in some, for example, in the English as a natural language, Okay, first component of the NLP is understanding. So first machine understand what you have asked, okay, what you have written, and then in the next component machine try to generate the answer for the question that you have asked in the natural language, and that component is nothing but our natural language generation. Okay, producing the meaningful phrases and the sentences in the natural language. Okay, that is the simple concept of the natural language. Now this is simply, here I have mentioned, this is simply the conversion back into the natural language form. Understood? After understanding what is being spoken by the some particular human being, machine understand it in the first component, and in the second component it try to generate the answer for that, and that answer is also getting generated in the same language, that is the natural language. Now while this conversion is happening, while this generation, natural language generation is happening, okay, it consists of these three different stages. Okay, in case of the natural language generation, these three stages are there. And when I ask you the question, when the human to human communication also happens, that time also these kind of things, that these kind of steps are what you can say get implemented. Like just when I ask you the question, tell me about yourself. If I in the English I ask you the question, tell me about yourself, then what will be your response? Yes. And you have to give the answer in the English only. Then what you will do? You need to think about that question first.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You need
Yes,
to
sir.
think about that question first, and then you
Yes.
prepare your answer in your mind first.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that is nothing but the called as a text planning. That is called as what? Text planning. Retrieving the relevant content from the knowledge base. आता तुमचा knowledge base काय, आपला knowledge base काय? Our brain is our knowledge base. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Our brain and our neural system is our knowledge base. Now in case of the machine or the system, their knowledge base is, we are creating that artificial knowledge base. Yes or no?
Yes.
So that is the first stage, that is the text planning, retrieving the relevant content from the knowledge base. Relevant content म्हणजे which kind of contents? The contents related with the question which is being asked. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that is the first step in the natural language generation, that is the text planning. Then next is what? Sentence planning. की आता जे तुम्ही आता first you can consider text planning as a thinking about the which kind of relevant words you should utilize. Understood? Now after that, after collection of the relevant words, you try to prepare the sentence from that. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
After you decide what you should tell, then you try to choose the words, and from that words you try to form the phrases and the sentences. Correct?
Yes, sir.
That is nothing but the second stage, that in the natural language generation, sentence planning. Okay, after the text planning, after deciding what you should tell, then you try to prepare the which words you utilize, and how you which sentence you form, that which sentence should form from that words, etc, etc. So in the second stage you plan your sentences. Got the second stage?
Yes, sir.
And third is the text realization. Means in the third stage, what you do, here I have written, it is mapping the sentences plan into the sentence structure. की syntactically तुम्ही जे आता in the second stage you have formed the sentence, correct? Now in the third stage, what you do, you try to what you can say, you try to validate your sentence. Validate in the sense whether that sentence is going to be the syntactically correct or not. You are getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Third stage is nothing but mapping the sentences plan into the sentence structure. Sentence structure in the sense what? Whether that sentence you are going to speak, whether it is the syntactically correct or not. You are getting my point?
Yes, sir.
So
Yes,
that
sir.
is nothing but the third stage in the natural language generation. and all these stages being followed by the machine or the system also in the second component of the natural language generation. The same point also I have mentioned, the realization process unifies the given input with the grammar and generate the text from that unification result. So you check out whether the sentence that you are going to generate, whether it is a grammatically correct or not. Understood? So all these three stages get implemented when I ask you something and when you try to give me the answer. The same thing also happen in case of the machine or the system also, when we are trying to build the system or the machine which is capable of understanding the natural language. So these are the two main stages of the natural language processing. Understood the two stages?
Yes, sir.
First one is what?
Natural language
And
understanding.
second, and what happened in that?
That lexical ambiguity, syntax ambiguity, and referential ambiguity means language aspects are represented and analyzed.
Means, in short, whatever being spoken by whatever being asked to the system try to understand that. That is the
Yes.
first stage, that is the natural language understanding. Second stage,
Natural language
generation.
की जे काही तुम्ही विचारला, whatever things you have asked to the machine try to generate the answer. Okay, that is nothing but in the form of the natural language only, and while generating that answer you try to follow these three steps. Understood this point? For the 4 marks it can be asked.
Yes, sir.
Let's move forward to the next relevant point to this only, that is also being asked number of times in the exams with the example, stages in the NLP, different stages in the natural language processing. So you can see here, as you know, the different natural language are having their separate structure, separate grammars, okay, syntax, etc., etc. So that's why here we can say the different natural language are very rich in their forms and the structure, and by default natural language processing is very complicated process, because you can see we learn the Marathi because we used to listen it from our childhood, we used to speak it from the childhood, etc. But if you try to learn some new language, then you can see what kind of difficulty you face. Understood? And here we are trying to teach the machine, we are trying to teach the system this kind of natural languages. So it is a very complicated process, okay, natural language processing, and it get through, and it is get completed through these different stages. Okay, when natural language processing is happening, it has to go through the different stages, or the what we can say phases or the steps. Now in that we have the first steps or first stage in the natural language processing, that is the lexical analysis. What? First stage in the natural language processing is what? Lexical analysis. Okay. Now when we have studied the system programming, and in that also we have studied this kind of phases when you are converting some source language to the target language. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So similar kind of things is here when the natural language processing is happening, and in that we have the first stage, that is the lexical analysis. Now what happened in the lexical analysis, you tell me. Yes, what is the lexical analysis? Lexical analysis is related to the words or the sentences.
Words.
It is related with the lexeme or the
Words.
lexicon. It is considered as a collection of the words. Okay, so here I have mentioned the lexical analysis. Now what task, what processing happens in this phase that we discussed. So in the lexical analysis, whatever the whole chunk of the text is given, Okay, whatever the collection of the text is given, okay, that collection of the text is get converted into the paragraph and then get converted into the sentence and finally get converted into the words. So lexical analysis does what? Whether the words which are being utilized there, whether the words which is being utilized there, analysis of that word, structure of that words being checked in the lexical analysis. Understood? And then from that it is being given to the next phase, that is the syntax analysis. Understood? So work of the lexical analysis is what? This one, lexical analysis, dividing the whole given text, okay, whole given chunk of the text into the paragraph, sentence and the words, and then in the lexical analysis check whether that all the words are according to the lexical rules or not. Understood? So here I have mentioned lexical analysis involves identifying and analyzing the structure of the words. Lexicon of the language means the collection of words and phrases in the language. So that is nothing but the work of the lexical analysis. What the lexical analysis does? Dividing the given chunk of the text. Chunk of the text means what?
Sentence.
Group of the sentences, etc., etc. Understood? So whatever the things are given, lexical analysis try to divide into the paragraph, then try to divide into the sentences, then sentences get divided into the words. Means what we can say, complete breakdown of the chunk of the text in the form of the words is being done by the lexical analysis, and then lexical analysis check whether that all words which is being used here, they are according to the lexical rules or not.
No.
So in short, you can keep in mind lexical analysis is nothing but the complete what we can say, the post-mortem of whole chunk of text into the different kind of words, dividing the given chunk of text into the separate words. Understood? And then checking that each of the words whether they are according to the lexical rules or not. Okay, that is our first stage, that is related with the analyzing the different words which are being utilized. Understood this one?
Yes, sir.
Then next is the syntactic analysis. What? Syntactic analysis. What do you mean by the syntactic analysis? Yes. In the first step, what we have done?
Dividing the sentences.
Dividing the given whole group of the text into the words and checking that words which are according to the lexical rule or not. Now in the second step, what is happening? Syntactic analysis, or the which is also referred as the parsing also. What we do in the second stage?
So check the grammar and
Syntax.
arranging in the word.
Means before checking the grammars, you have to put together that words which you have which you have separated in the first stage. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
In the first stage, what you have done, you have separated the paragraph into the sentences, sentences into the word, etc. Now, while you are checking the syntax, can you check the syntax of the single word?
No.
Because
No.
single word don't have any syntax. Syntax is related with the sentences. So, in order to check the syntax of the sentences, first thing you need to what? First thing you need to arrange that words in such a manner so that there can be a relationship between that particular kind of words. Understood? So whatever words you have separated in the first stage, that you have to combine together, and it should be combined together so that it can form the sentence. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
That is nothing but the syntax analysis. Okay, and then you have to check out whatever the sentence that has formed, it is according to the grammar or not. Getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Because the English language is having the certain grammatical rules related to the formation of the sentence, like subject, verb, object, like this kind of things. Now, for example, here you can see the sentence I have mentioned here, the school goes to the boy. Is it the syntactically correct sentence?
No.
No.
sir.
No.
So these kind of things will be rejected by the syntactic analyzer. Understood? These kind of things will be rejected by the syntactic analyzer. And when natural language processing is happening, machine or the system also need to check these kind of things. Understood? When you give some instruction to the machine in English language, but when you are giving instruction to the machine in the English language, you are not speaking in correct syntax, then machine will understood it or not.
No.
No. And if machine don't understood it, whether the second component of the NLP will work?
No.
No. Natural language understandच झाली नाही तर natural language generate होईल का?
No.
No. So that is the thing. So these things that is nothing but the second stage in the natural language processing, that is the syntax analysis. Understood this one?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Then there is the third stage in the natural language processing, that is the semantic analysis. What? Semantic analysis. Now, what do you mean by the semantic analysis? Tell me.
Find out the actual meaning of word.
आता सेंटेन्स सिंटॅक्टिकली करेक्ट आहे पण ते सिमॅन्टिकली करेक्ट आहे म्हणजे त्याला एक काहीतरी मिनिंगफुल, ते सेंटेन्स मिनिंगफुल आहे की नाही. अंडरस्टूड? दॅट थिंग
Yes,
गेट
sir.
चेक इन द सिमॅन्टिक एनालिसिस. हियर आय हॅव मेन्शन it draws the exact meaning or the dictionary meaning of the text. The text is checked for the meaningfulness. It is done by mapping the syntactical structure and object in the task domain. Now, for example, if I said the statement like this, hot ice cream. For example, I want hot ice cream. Is it the semantically correct?
No.
No.
No, sir.
Hot ice cream असते का रिअल वर्ल्ड मध्ये?
नाही.
नाही. So that is the reason this kind of sentence will be rejected in the semantic analysis. Here I have mentioned the semantic analyzer disregard, in the sense reject the sentences such as the hot ice cream, these kind of things. That is nothing but the semantic analysis. So can I say sentence can be a syntactically correct, but it may not be semantically correct? Yes or no?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
So
Yes,
that
sir.
is our third stage in case of NLP. Let's move toward the next one. That is the most important here, discourse integration. Discourse integration. Now here what happened? You can see, just read this. The meaning of any sentences depends upon the meaning of the sentences just before it or the after it. In addition, it also brings about the meaning of the immediately succeeding sentences. Means what the discourse integration try to check in the natural language also, की असं कधीतरी असं होतं की एखाद्या स्टेटमेंटचं मिनिंग हे त्या स्टेटमेंटच्या अगोदर काय बोललं गेलंय याच्यावर डिपेंड असतं. You are getting my point?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
So same kind of things it get checked by the discourse integration. The meaning of the sentences, as you know, the meaning of the sentences depends about the meaning of the sentence just before it. Understood? So if you want to understand some sentence, sometimes you need to understand what is being spoken before that particular one sentence. For example, there is a sentence 1 and there is a sentence 2. Now sometimes we need to if you want to understand this, what is the meaning of this second sentence, it is mandatory to understand the meaning of this first sentence. Yes or no?
Yes. Yes,
So
sir.
checking this is
Yes, sir.
nothing but is called as the discourse integration. Okay, let's see the example here. Meena went to Geeta. She said, I am hungry. आता जर फक्त तुम्ही हेच ऐकलं, which one? This one. She said, I am hungry. Now, will you able to draw any conclusion from this?
No.
Now, in order to understand these, you need to first understand these also. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
In order to understand the second part of this sentence, you need to understand the first part. You need to take the reference of the first part also. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And this kind of checking is nothing but this kind of processing is nothing but the called as what? Discourse
Discourse
integration.
integration.
Got the point?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And let's see the last one and most important, that is what you can see here, pragmatic analysis. Now this is the most difficult phase in the understanding, and even in the book also if you read you will not understand anything what actually it means. Even if you search everywhere you will not understand what exactly this phase is. Okay, but it is we will make it very simple. Let's see. Now general, if you understand the general meaning of the pragmatic, do anybody know what do you mean by the pragmatic?
सर ते हट्टीपणा म्हणजे ते
Now in the general word we used to communicate, or we used to speak in the two different ways, like or we used to think in the two different ways, like there is a theoretical thinking
Yes,
and the practical
practical.
thinking. Okay,
Yes,
so pragmatic is nothing but the practical mean,
yes,
practical way of thinking. Understood? It is
yes,
what? Practical way of thinking. And there is a huge difference in the theoretical thinking and the practical thinking. Yes or no?
yes, sir. Yes,
So
sir.
let's understand the let's understand the technical sentence, and then we'll try to simplify it using the example. Now during this, what was said is reinterpreted on what it actually mean. A very beautiful description is given within just one sentence regarding the pragmatic analysis. Now during this, what is happening, what was said, okay, think on it carefully, what was said is reinterpreted on what it actually mean. Now in order to do this kind of analysis, it requires the real world knowledge. It requires the real world knowledge, or it requires the knowledge regarding that particular language. Okay, here I have mentioned it involves deriving those aspects of the language which require the real world knowledge. Means in order to understand or in order to do this kind of analysis, you need the real world knowledge of that particular language. Okay, let's try to simplify it with the example. Suppose in the before the lockdown, when our lectures were getting conducted physically, and suppose our lecture time is around 11 a.m. Okay, our lecture time is around the 11 a.m. In last semester we had the lectures of the SPOS. Okay, and some student, some XYZ student, okay, our lecture started at the 11 a.m. and some XYZ student comes for the lecture at the 11:20 a.m. Okay, getting the situation?
yes, sir.
Okay, our lecture started at the 11 a.m. Some student come for the lecture at the 11:20 a.m. and we were discussing the some part of the SPOS. Okay, and okay, and he just knock on the door. Okay, and he asked me, may I come in, sir? What? He asked me, may I come in, sir? Then what I asked him, I asked him, what is the time? What I asked him, what is the
What is
time?
time?
What
Can
is the-
anybody tell me what I have asked him? what I am trying to communicate with him. Yes.
So you want to tell what is the timing of lecture and when you come.
Yes. Anybody else?
Why are you late?
Very
Yes.
late.
Why are you late?
Means here I am not asking him the time. You are getting what I'm saying? I
Yes,
am
sir.
not asking him the time. Some student, when I ask that student what is the time, some student used to tell me the time. We have experienced this kind of things in the class also. Correct or not?
Yes.
Means what they first think that sir has asked me the time. But did I ask him the time?
No.
No.
No. I am trying to tell him
Too late आलाय.
you are late. I am
Yes.
trying to tell him you are late,
Late.
and that is nothing but the pragmatic analysis. That is called as what? Pragmatic analysis, and that is being described here. During this, what was said is reinterpreted. Now, who is going to reinterpret this? Student or me?
Student.
Student. What was said is reinterpreted on what it actually means. की त्यावेळेस त्या स्टुडंटला मी जो क्वेश्चन त्याला केलेला आहे त्याच्यावर त्याला 2 वेळेस विचार करावा लागेल की व्हॉट ऍक्च्युअली सर ट्राइंग टू आस्क मी. यू आर गेटिंग माय पॉइंट. And
Yes,
then he can reach to the, now when he can understood what I am asking him, when he have the real world, when he is having the real world knowledge of English. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
You are getting my point? Or any
Yes.
natural language. When you have the real world knowledge of any natural language, then only he can understand what I am trying to communicate with him. And that is the pragmatic analysis. What was said is reinterpreted on what it actually meant. Got the point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, understood the pragmatic analysis?
Yes, sir.
Do you want the another example?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now let me take you the example related with our daily life. Now consider if in the kitchen mother says to daughter, understand the situation. If in the kitchen mother says to daughter to check milk status which is kept on the gas or the stove.
Yes, sir.
If in kitchen mother says daughter to check milk status which is kept on the stove or the gas, what is this mean? What is the intention of the mother?
दूध
दूध
गॅस दूध
उकळलंय
गॅस
का?
Yes, anyone?
यार बोल ना.
Yes, anyone?
सर ते दूध तापलंय का नाही ते बघायचं, म्हणजे ते उकळतं ना वरती येतं.
नुसतं तेच बघायचंय का? जर ओतून जात असेल तर त्याच्यावर काहीतरी ऍक्शन पण
बंद
घ्यायची.
करायचं.
यस
बंद
बंद
करायचं.
करायचं.
बरोबर ना?
यस सर.
ओतू जात असेल तर त्याच्यावर काहीतरी ऍक्शन पण घ्यायची आहे. दॅट इज नथिंग बट
हो.
कॉल्ड ॲज प्रॅग्मॅटिक. बट जर तुम्ही स्टेटमेंट बघितलं तर यू हॅव टू थिंक ऑन दॅट की व्हॉट एक्झॅक्टली शी मीन्स, व्हॉट एक्झॅक्टली युअर मदर मीन्स. की जाऊन फक्त ते ऑब्झर्व करायचंय की जर ओतू जात असेल तर त्याच्यावर काहीतरी ऍक्शन पण घ्यायची. आणि ऍक्शन
sir.
घेणं दॅट इज द प्रॅक्टिकल थिंग. अंडरस्टूड? So
Yes.
that is called as
Yes.
the pragmatic analysis. So this kind of example you should also mention in the exam also, so that you can get the full amount of marks. Understood this?
Yes sir.
Yes,
So
sir.
that's it from the today's lecture. We'll continue next part in the next lecture. Thank you all of you.
Thank you sir.
Thank you, sir.
Sir.